Good evening, sports fans! Crowbat for the win of the Token Minorities, here today with Season 3, Week 4 of the Stab League. Now, it's been a while since I've uploaded the Stab League, and I want to point out why. So there are genuine, valid reasons. The season is still ongoing and everything. Week 3, I actually had a bye week. And you know, the weeks are 2 weeks long, so it just took a little extra time for that. And Week 4 was extended for a couple extra weeks because the commissioner of the Stab League, my friend Stab, he's also been on this channel a few times, he was moving, so he decided to give everyone just a couple weeks break, or at least a little extra time to get all the battles done. So it ended up being, you know, about a month, 5 weeks or so between the last time that I uploaded and now. But that's okay, not a huge deal at all. So I'm going to do an impromptu team builder here just to present what I have for the week. Now, this was not a team that I spent a ton of time building or went through a front office with. Like my NPL games, I go hog wild on those. This one I built pretty quickly, but I noticed on my opponent's team, who is Easy Bake Oven, and his links will be in the description below. I'll read his team off in a minute, but I did notice he had a pretty big weakness to Dragonite, and so of course you're going to see Dragonite in this team. Now, why don't I just read off his team real quick. He's got Mega Lopunny, he's got Zygarde Complete, Deoxys Attack, which that'll be a funny note later, Clefable, Manaphy Z, Skarmory, Latios Z, Kartana, Alolan Marowak, Drapion, and Lantern. Now once again, this is not going to be my best team in the world, but I think it's solid enough. I think it gives me a couple of good ways to win, particularly through Dragonite, as you're going to see soon. So why don't we jump right in. First we got Celesteela. It's just basically a defensive check to multiple things in his team. My hope would be for like Deoxys Attack, Clefable, stuff like that. Drapion to some extent. It's got Leech Seed, which I would just want for health recovery, and Heavy Slam and Energy Ball. Energy Ball is kind of for Lantern if I expect that switch in, so it's got quite a few options there. This is pretty standard. I think the EVs are pretty much Smogon, but I changed the moveset just a little bit. Next set I actually really like. We've got an Assault Vest Mewtwo, which has Psy Strike, Ice Beam, Thunder, and Flamethrower. Alright, so Psy Strike just hits most of his team. Stab, it's a good move. Ice Beam covers Latios, Thunder covers Skarmory, and oh, by the way, Ice Beam also covers Zygarde, and Flamethrower is really just for Kartana. Beyond that, the Assault Vest really helps it take moves from Manaphy, from Clef, from Deoxys, from Latios, from Lantern if I have to. I realized just how good a matchup Assault Vest Mewtwo had, so I had to bring it, for sure. Next up, we've got Nidokings with Shoka Berry, Ice Beam, Sludge Wave, Thunder, and Earth Power. Now I was considering Stealth Rock somewhere in there, but I thought that it would be a better idea to throw that on another Mon coming later. So this is going to be a backup check for Zygarde Complete, worst case scenario, so I can Ice Beam it. But beyond that, pretty standard, just same types of moves as Mewtwo, except Earth Power does hit Drapion, and the Sludge Wave hits the Clefable. Pretty much the same story. Next, we've got Pelipper, whom I'm a big fan of, with Damprock, Roost, Defog, U-Turn, and Hurricane. Hurricane is so that way I can hit Kartana if I have to, because this is supposed to be Fizz Def, and I want to be able to take hits from Kartana pretty well. U-Turn is Momentum, Defog is so that way I can get rocks away if I need to, and Roost is just to prolong Pelipper's longevity and the Rain's longevity. I think it pretty much speaks for itself. So that's Pelipper in a nutshell. And finally, Grandpa Jolts, Dragonite, Weakness Policy, Multiscale, Agility, Iron Head, Dragon Claw, Hurricane. Now it's a mixed Dragonite. Now the reason why I have Hurricane on a physical attacking Dragonite is so that way it can KO Kartana. And it will at that, even with no investment whatsoever. It's just Kartana's special attack and HP are that bad that it will take that. And my hope would be it would be in the rain. You could say maybe I could pack Fire Blast or Flamethrower. My nervousness is if I have the rain up, I don't want to use those moves. Also, Hurricane can do at least big damage to other mons too if I mispredict or if he switches out. Whereas like if he switches into something like say Alolan Marowak, that's going to do a lot of damage. Hurricane will still do a lot of damage, whereas some of my other moves may not do as much. So that's kind of my goal there. I'd rather do that than have Flamethrower or Fire Blast there. And the EVs are pretty specialized, so I went with enough HP and enough special defense, so that way I can take an Ice Beam from a Deoxys attack with multi-scale up, and I put enough speed on this thing, so that way after an agility I can outspeed Deoxys attack, which is the fastest mon he has on his team. And then the rest just went to attack, and I just Adamant Natured it up, so that way I can get some solid KOs. And Dragonite, I think this set is going to do big things. Dragon Claw hits most of the team neutrally, Iron Head hits Clefable, and I already explained Hurricane. Final mon for the week is going to be Jirachi with Leftovers, and Serene Grace, of course, Iron Head, Body Slam, Wish, and Stealth Rock. So it's basically just a special wall of sorts. It helps to at least kind of check Lantern a little bit. My hope would be to get a couple Body Slams off on it, maybe set a Stealth Rock up on it. I can wish around for the team if I've got to, but just overall it's a special, especially defensive, and like I said, I think this was pretty Smogon-esque because I didn't have time to, you know, do all the EVs perfectly, but still, I think it'll do pretty well. Alright, I think we can jump on over to the game. Alrighty, and so my opponent brought Lantern, Deoxys, Zygarde will be Zygarde complete if under half health, Drapion, Latios, and Alolan Marowak. Now, there's something to note there is that he brought the wrong form of Deoxys, and I didn't even notice that at the team preview. He has Deoxys Speed there, and it's supposed to be Deoxys Attack. I'm in utter amazement because of that when I notice it later on, but actually, it's not going to really impact the game too much, so I'll explain it as we get there later, so no big deal. Why don't we jump in to this game? I'm going to lead off with Nidokings as I take a Scald, because apparently he outspeeds and he has speed investment. I go for Sludge Wave expecting him to switch, and it was kind of a middle ground play, I think, but that just was awful. I switch into my Assault Fist Mewtwo so I can just go for a Side Strike, and I don't want to overpredict again. Unfortunately, he does go into Drapion, and I don't want to take an attack with Mewtwo, so I'm going to go into Pelipper. He sets up a sub, and I am not liking this right now. He goes for the Acupuncture. That's crazy. You know, that means that my Hurricane can't KO this sub. Now, if he doesn't have too many scary attacks, as long as he doesn't get an attack boost, I should be okay, I think. Because then I can go into Celesteela, which has good mixed bulk, and it can just Heavy Slam away and break his sub every single time. He just can't get a Acupuncture in defense, too. Unfortunately, he does. So that is my luck, but at least it's doing 20%. It's not the end of the world. I think if I just let this thing keep getting subs up, and I hope that he doesn't get any attack boosts, I should be okay. There we go, he gets a special attack boost. That was a complete waste of a turn for him. He subs again. I'm just going to keep putting on this offensive pressure. There's no reason not to. This is my strategy, to just keep it up. The worst thing he can do is knock off any crits, by the way. So there's a little bit of hacks already. I'm not even surprised. So he's going to set up another sub, because I know I can't break it without maybe a crit of some kind. He's now under sub range. He's going to Acupuncture again, and he gets another defense boost. A little annoying, but at this point he can't set up a sub, so that's all I care about. He Thunderfangs, and that does absolutely nothing! Oh my gosh! That was crazy. I'm just glad I didn't go into Pelipper there. So he switches on to Lantern because he doesn't want me to get health back. I switch into my Jirachi on the Lantern because, once again, it's specially defensive. He goes to the Alolan Marowak on the Volt Switch. I'm not a fan of that move. I gotta go into Pelipper to hopefully take an attack. He Stealth Rocks, which means I can actually defog them away. Thank goodness I packed defog on this Pelipper, because I think I really need those rocks away. If I want Dragonite to sweep this game, that's what I need. He goes for a Discharge on my Jirachi, as I wish, then goes for the Boosted Scald and burns Jirachi, which is going to be a real nuisance for me. At least, at minimum, I can set up rocks, which are, I think, almost here to stay. The question is whether Latios has defog or not. If Latios has defog, they might not be here to stay, but it depends on what his set is. I know that he's a Z-move, Latios, so it's possible he has it, it's possible he doesn't. Also, I am utterly amazed that Pelipper just took that Thunderfang that well. I'm going to try to switch out and hope that I can take the attack better with Celesteela. Goes for the Thunderfang again, it does 19%, so I can set up my Leech Seed again to get that thing from being in sub-range. I can get some health back. I know Lantern is probably likely, so I just want to go for Heavy Slam to at least get a little bit of damage off. Now I want to scout what move he goes for, so I'm just going to protect. I think Jirachi is probably my better play at this point. And he gets another crit. Great. It's unfortunate, but at this point, I'm not really sure that switching out of Jirachi is worth it because I don't have anything that I want to be knocked off. And I know that I can outspeed this thing with my Mewtwo right here. And it's also unnerved, by the way, just a worthy of note, so in case he had a resist barrier of some kind, I can take care of that. Now, here is the Alolan Marowak. I'm going to switch into my Pelipper, which is my physical wall, but unfortunately he is carrying Thunder Punch, and it's mighty unfortunate, so I'm going to go into Nidoking, and I mispredict. I thought for sure he was going to go into Latios, and he didn't, but let me just pause for a moment and explain. I thought if I went for Earth Power, this thing would have been taken out, no questions asked. It was gone. So I see it as he's starting to see that he has an advantage, and he thinks he can get the upper hand on me. He will go into Latios to take the Earth Power. There's no way he'd predict the Ice Beam. But at the same time, as unfortunate as that prediction was, it actually helps to set up, to some degree, a Dragonite sweep very soon. So I'm not all that upset about that. I wanted this thing to be at least this thing to be in range so that it could be taken out by something else. And as long as that happens, it's really not that big of a deal. Maybe it'll affect differential by 1 somewhere, but I thought it would have been a prediction of the year if it was right. Unfortunately, now it goes on the not top 10 plays of the week because I mispredicted, but oh well. So let's keep going. Alright, so I'm just going to Side Strike this thing to take it out. That's pretty much it there. So he goes into the Latios as I Ice Beam him away. Outspeed. This is Assault Vest, by the way, as I mentioned in the team preview, so his Gigavolt Havoc does not very much at all. I just Side Strike just in case for some reason he decides to switch. Now here is the Deoxys Speed. This is when I notice it's Deoxys Speed and not Deoxys Attack. Now for this move, it does not matter, but because he KOs it with a Shadow Ball, but here's where it matters. Alright, I want to explain. So, Deoxys Speed normally outspeeds Dragonite at +2 speed, or at least the EVs I had. However, he is not max speed. He has, I think, 124 EVs, and he's modest nature. So therefore, he's definitely going to Ice Beam me in just a moment. Why don't we just see that real quick? So he Ice Beams, and it does that much damage. My Weakness Policy activates as Agility. That is wonderful. I am set to sweep. But just to briefly explain, if he had a Deoxys attack, rather than speed, with the EVs, I would have lived that Ice Beam anyways. It would have been a lot closer. I would have had like 5% health, let's say. But I would have still lived that attack, and the following turns would happen the exact same way. So therefore, even though he brought the wrong Deoxys form, it actually had no impact on this moment or on this game at all. Because as you were going to see, Dragonite is going to be carrying us back to victory. Grandpa Jolt. Can I get a hashtag Grandpa Jolt? We've been talking all this time about Mama Jolt, when Grandpa Jolt apparently is the big winner on the day, and we have got our first Stab League victory, 2-0. I wish we could have maybe got the 3-0 with a couple predictions going a little differently, but at the same time, considering I built this team pretty quickly, and considering I like to take a few more risks in this league because it's less pressure than the NPL, it's more fun. I really don't mind all that much. I think it was a fun game. Even though there was a small mishap with the Deoxys side, I enjoyed it. Good game, Easy Bake. Easy Bake Oven's links will be in the description below, and I'm gonna go skedaddle because I've got some Easy Bake Oven cakes to cook right now. I actually don't, but I'm sure if I went like 18 years in my past, I could find that, but no, I'm not doing that. I gotta go back to work, so I'll see you guys later. Peace.